Hello and good morning, or should I say good Monday? Well, Tuesday for you. Welcome to GMSONIC with me, Corval, and my compatriot is fucking bitch. And my compatriot, Dracula. How you doing today, Dracula?
Man, I'm doing good. I've had my coffee. I'm feeling good, man.
Yeah, that's all you got in your life this second is a cup of coffee. Is it
And
because
you, my best friend
Oh, and me,
from
that's right.
Florida.
You got me, Dracula. You got me, you got a cup of coffee, and you got Ava here in the basket trying to take me out. So you might just have the cup of coffee at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true.
Because when I look at the chart today, dude, I'm not even looking at the chart. I'm looking at DeFi Llama, man. And let me show you something. It makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me want to puke, bro. It makes me want to freaking do something crazy and drastic and dramatic. Look at this, dude. 84% down. Bates on 66% down. Poulter 59% down. Dude, these are my babies, dude. These are the big ones to me. These are the most important. These are the ones that I trusted them. I had my faith in them. They were going to make it. But I don't blame them, Dracula. I can't. You know what I blame? I blame Bitcoin, dude.
Yeah, that'll do it. We made it through another halving over the weekend. Everything kind of pumped a little bit with the halving. But usually after the halving, we start to go sideways a little bit.
Bro, this is what you call sideways? This is what you call sideways? I call this straight down, dog.
Well, that's what I was getting at was, you'll see like some of these L1 tokens, some of these alts start to move up. And unfortunately, when let's say you have a token, you have Fantom, Avalanche, whatever, when those have some violent moves up, people are going to exit the eco tokens to get back into those native tokens. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing today. We did see obviously, Fantom has been kind of having a little surge ever since then. I guess when the halving happens, people are kind of like mission accomplished. Now, what can we like go buy? But it is kind of like an interesting thing where people do say like, I don't, like, why is it significant? Like, what happens? Why does this always happen? And I guess at the end of the day, I'm sure everybody knows the narrative. The rewards get sliced in half. The miners get those rewards, and as that, that's like increasing the scarcity of Bitcoin. So every 4 years, those rewards are getting sliced. So less Bitcoin is getting put out into the world every block. Um, but when you're looking, I guess, kind of like historically, I just made a little chart here. Um, you can kind of see it every time. It's you have a little march up. This is two halvings ago. You have a little march up. Everybody's excited.
Mm-hmm.
You actually get to the halving. In this case, it dumped. This is a monthly chart. So in this case, it dumped. But, we had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of sideways. And then, we went from like 700 something dollars up to like $15,000. Then, the cycle
And
kind
that's
of
when
begins.
young Dracula cut his teeth, made his fortune.
That's right. That's where it all happened. So everyone kind of begins to accumulate again. So here we go again, 2020. We're kind of all over the place. Then we're kind of marching up right before. Then halving happens. Here we go again. We did get a new all-time high, but we kind of went sideways for like 4 or 5 months. But then boom, we went from like, $12,000-$13,000 all the way up to 60 something thousand dollars. And rinse repeat. So there we go. Boom. We're accumulating again. We're marching up. But do you see where we are right here?
Yeah.
Do you see the word when?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Is that the
So
meme token? Is that when launched?
no, yeah, that was as historic as the halving.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, so here we go again. Um, are we gonna go sideways 4 or 5 months and then start our march up? It's kind of a unique halving, I think. We have the ETFs out now. Those are also taking supply, off the market. So the one thing I will say that's, something to think about is we were talking about this before the show, and I hadn't even really looked at it this way, where you notice that these runs are getting a little shorter every halving. Um,
Mm-hmm.
does the ETF make it like a decent size run? Um, or is it just like a more violent run and a shorter run? So curious to see what happens. But as far as the chart goes, I only was able to have the first two. I think there was one more having before this one, and it was basically the same effect. So kind
Curious.
of hard to deny the history here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to deny, but I'm curious as to what's actually happening here. What is the underlying reason for this? It's not just the supply is shrinking, right? Like it's the rate of growth of the supply is cut in half. But is there enough Bitcoin changing hands for that to be a significant effect, Dracula alone?
Well, I guess that's a interesting thing as well. The supply is getting smaller, but this is my opinion just with things I've seen over the years. Um, it puts pressure on the miners too. And Bitcoin is unique in terms of most of the systems now we have proof of stake now. People aren't mining anymore. But you have to definitely think about how Bitcoin, the miners, most of these miners have more supply than just about anybody.
Mhm.
So it actually puts pressure on the miners to raise the price as well, in my opinion. And just from like I said, things I've read, things whatever, is that this, they're having to put out all these expenses for their mining like operations.
Yeah.
So now you're cutting that money coming in half. So in that case, is it worth it to coordinate how you're going to raise this price so that you're back in the profit?
Mhm.
Um, Maybe a little bit on the conspiracy theory side, but I think it definitely is a factor.
It
Um,
makes sense, right? Like if they're only being compensated in Bitcoin for their overhead costs for having these server rooms going, which is expensive, then they need to have some minimum price floor for it to be viable. I do remember not as like a result of halvings, I don't think, but you remember those news stories where it's like it's no longer profitable to mine Bitcoin, so like everyone's just like chucking like RTX 1080s like in the fucking river and shit, like
yeah,
kinda like and they're like,
yeah,
we we don't
that's the
need
issue
it.
is at this point in the game, that is another thing with the mining as well, is that with every halving, as the like historical blocks, you're adding more blocks. That means that every time they're even mining these blocks, it's getting harder. It's getting
Mhm,
more intensive on their systems. It takes a lot of money as it is to be a profitable miner because, when you're buying all this equipment or upgrading your equipment, you already have it in your head. Like I'm going to have to mine for like, I don't know, X amount of months, maybe even years to like actually just be like in full
mhm.
blown profit. There's a huge incentive there for these guys that have, you know, a lot of money invested in this. It's not just like, oh, it would be nice if the price goes up. It's like, if this price doesn't go up, like we're in trouble. So,
Yeah. Yeah, their businesses depend on it. So, but because they're sitting on so much supply, they might all just, it doesn't seem necessarily conspiratorial to me. It was just all of their incentives would align pretty much at the same time to push price upwards. It's the same as like if, there's a blight on like cocoa plants, all the cocoa, uh, what do we call them? Importers, exporters, or whatever, they're going to raise their price because it's like, I have to stay alive off of what I've got.
yeah.
Um, but,
And I mean, there's also an argument, if I was going to draw some red circles, you could draw one here. Like, look at the way
mhm,
this goes. Look at the way this goes right here. Um, where we were talking before, and it was like, well, why wouldn't they just make price go up forever? Well, there's incentive to raise it, but then there would also be some incentive to accumulate, to find a way to maybe suppress price a little bit, maybe
mhm.
actually get some new profit here while you're waiting to go up. But yeah, I mean, this is a very long game here. I mean, this is like I said, each one of these candles is a month, so we're looking at this is all the way back to 2012. You have a really strong historical record here of where the market is going. Of course, you can't just 100% bank on that, but it's a strong trend.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting because that adds a new that perspective, the miner perspective, something important to keep in mind because it adds a new layer to it. People always say the price, it's all priced in. It's all priced in, right? I mean, it's the most telegraphed event in all of cryptocurrency, right? Everyone's always talking about it, that it's all priced in, but it's a little bit more complicated than just what speculators think it's going to be, right? It's like who has the supply, what are they going to decide to sell it for, right?
Yeah, because we're not
Basic.
just talking about like, oh, millions. I mean, we're talking about these guys are dealing in billions of dollars, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
obviously, you know, we're talking people that actually, you know, if things are coordinated properly, can move markets, can, you know. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, I mean, is the ETF actually making things? I don't know what you amplify that effect by. That the ETF is these ETFs are also removing supply, and now you've cut supply in half again. I wouldn't be shocked to see kind of like the same thing around, you know, right after every time where, you know, it's probably not going to be like super sexy here for a while. And, you know, hey, maybe I'll totally be wrong on that, but I wouldn't be shocked for, you know, maybe to like end of summer, early fall that we're just, you know, we're staying around this range sideways a little bit. That's going to give alts some time to pump. But I think what could be unique is more so the run up that we see after, just seeing like how all this will come into play. But hey, maybe if we're really lucky, we get like a solid like 18-month, 2 year cycle again. That would be very nice.
Well, that would be choice. That would be very choice. The concern here is you say it gives alts the time to run, but it seems like alts got freaking BTFO'd, bro. In this first downward price action. So if we continue to crab, I mean, how like let's connect this to Fantom basically. How is this rotation gonna? How are we imagining this rotation to happen, and how does it traditionally happen?
Traditionally, I would say all eyes are on Bitcoin till about this point. Now everybody's going to watch Ethereum. Everyone wants to see the Ethereum leg up.
Mm-hmm.
So during this time, you'll see alts pumping, alts getting wrecked. Um, but I feel like it's kind of like Bitcoin's got to go first. Once Ethereum really makes that similar leg up and also begins to go sideways, that is truly when typically things become like parabolic for the alt chains. Last run, we had this glorious time called Alt L1 rotator season. Those were very good times. You know, everybody would just there would it was like I don't know how everything synced up the way it did, but it would be like there would just be like a flurry of activity on one Alt L1, and everybody would hop over there, and it would be a bunch of new DeFi, and everything's pumping, and everyone would go there for a couple
Mm-hmm.
months. Then it would be like, all right, here's the next chain that's got a bunch of stuff coming out, and everybody's rotating into it, and now it's pumping. Once the market finally kind of started climbing out of that pit, it was like all L1s were still performing fine, getting their market share back. And I think it's because the bottom line with the L2s is that you can still only scale to what Ethereum will let you.
Yeah, still room for alt L1s, and I mean, well, Sonic has that kind of pseudo L2 functionality coming with it too, right? It's not like we're still moving towards a kind of consolidation of a sort. Or maybe that's just like the greater interoperability we've always been talking about.
Well, that's kind of the part with Sonic where there was some confusion at first, where people were like, "Okay, you're tossing around L2. Is it like kind of like finalizing on Ethereum like a lot of the L2s do, or but Andre did clear that up, and by L2, what we're talking about is basically just like an L2 bridge to move, for instance, like the native canonical stables and stuff to the chain. So there is no like finality going down on like the Ethereum network or anything like that when they say L2. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is an integration of the tech in some regard. So but
Hmm.
it's mostly just that, oh, okay, like there is like some L2 tech that will be used to like bridge these like things straight from Ethereum to Sonic.
Dracula, you're telling me I gotta wait. I gotta wait. I gotta wait, dude. You're telling me I gotta be patient. I gotta wait for Fantom.
We're talking about every having 4 or 5, 6 months, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's 4 or 5 or 6 months from right now? That's getting pretty close to when they're hoping to deploy Sonic.
Oh,
So
the
is
speediest, man.
somebody else thinking about that when we had these, slight delays?
Oh my god. You think?
I don't know.
Do you think they're that big brain? Do you think they're planning that far ahead?
Somebody could be thinking about that. If I could draw this chart, somebody else could probably draw this chart.
That's freaking wild, dude.
But like I said, that's just a bit of fun speculation. But hey, that is some nice confirmation bias for myself. I will probably be broke by August or September, completely gambling on my thesis.
You know what? More power to you, though, dude. That's what you got to do to make it in this world. So, do we want to talk about like um what we talk about every week, every day, every week, which is meme coins?
Meme coins on Phantom.
I thought Emmett put this clown on the screen because that's how I feel talking about meme coins all the time.
Well,
I lost some high powered followers because I tweeted about meme coins.
oh
And
man,
fairly enough, righteously so, I think.
the cabal is coming for you now. You have flooded their meme coins. It's like we've discussed on the show before. I don't think there's anything wrong with meme coins. It's just that we're, like I said, you have this period where before we have like this next run and there's actual like retail coming back, you know, it's something to do. It's something to have fun with. I do think that meme coins this cycle will be like still prominent, maybe like more so compared to how I've said before that usually you get the memes come in and that kind of is like the placeholder for like when the market really starts to take off and then people want like DeFi. They want like serious DeFi stuff. So now it's more of like I've seen this tossed around on the timeline. People say it's more like a cultural coin or whatever. It's trading cultural trends more so than like, oh, it's just a meme. So I do think that there's no way, there's not a scenario where we don't see DeFi come back and take over and dominate. But
Mhm.
I think, the big coins that have held some market share on every chain, they're probably still going to stay relevant enough. So yeah, we're seeing
So
here.
speedy.
So we said last episode there was a billboard in Las Vegas, but now apparently we have them in California and Hong Kong
And Dubai.
and Dubai. Oh shit.
Yeah. I wonder how this how this affected the speedy price. Did it help?
I'm not sure. This comment here is
No.
kind of fun where he's like, I wonder how much allocation you were getting to keep posting about this.
Oh, wait, let's pull up the hater, bro. Santa Claus said this?
Santa, disgruntled Santa. That just makes my heart hurt. Like, you're
Damn.
Santa, you're supposed to be jolly.
He freaking gagged him, dude. That he mogged him, some would say. I can't use that word mog because that's another meme coin. Every word is just gonna become a meme coin because people are so desperate to capture these
Well,
cultural trends.
I guess there is something. It's not just like Phantom centric where it's like if you post about like any project, at least half of your replies are going to be, you talked about this project, but you did not talk about my project. Therefore, you are a shitbag. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm
Um,
very familiar with that, and I'm looking
yeah.
forward to hearing some of that in the replies to this.
So, which by the way, we don't make the posts on Phantom Talk. We are just posted on Phantom Talk
Yeah,
for our next videos.
we don't make those posts. We just tell them to post them.
So please don't yell at us about this post.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't make it, but I did tell them to post that, and also crafted the image and wrote the text and told them to post it.
And that's where you got your $10,000.
Yeah, and that's how I got my start in the industry. But no, really. Let's check in on like some of these other meme coins here, because meme coins are fascinating to me because, like you said, they are kind of like a cultural thing, or like they call them a community, quote unquote, community coin, culture coin, or whatever. But really, It's just a way to speculate on, like, essentially people's tastes in a way, but that's just my assumption. I'm curious as to what makes people buy meme coins. Do they buy them because they think they're funny? Do they buy them because they think other people are gonna think they're funny? Or do they buy them just
It's
because of the chart?
well, yeah,
Like,
it's kind of shifting. It's I think it used to be more of like a quick high stakes gamble, and now it's becoming something more of like a, oh, they're touching on this, or it's a meme of this, so this is going to have more staying power. I might actually like hold this a while. I mean, in fact, like some of my biggest L's of the last however many couple months have been like I get in on something early enough, and I hit like a 10x or something, so I'm like, okay, pretty good, whatever, sell that, and then within like 3 or 4 weeks, it's gone like completely parabolic. So it's the game is different now. You know what I mean? It's really just hard to tell.
it's interesting to me because before the show, we were looking at Twitter and I saw a tweet that was saying like such and such meme token is like very undervalued. And I was thinking like, what does that even mean? Like, how could it be undervalued in that there's no underlying like value or utility or anything underneath it? Like, it's literally just you like the meme. So that's like saying, I guess it's like saying like, uh, this this TV show I like is undervalued, right? Like I think it's funnier than everyone else says it is,
Yeah.
but that might not be an entirely accurate assessment of meme coins.
You're kind of just seeing what we were talking about, where Phantom has been kind of marching back up. So people are gonna exit memes or whatever to get back into like a Phantom position. Um, but yeah, I mean, you're seeing a lot of red here. Um, doesn't necessarily mean, like I said, it's the end of the world. Because I mean, if you flip the volume for 24 hours, look what we got here. We still got Speedy, number one in volume. We got Go Go. Not
Go
super
go.
familiar with that one, but I've seen the name tossed around. Speed. So, like I said, remember Speedy and Speed.
Yeah.
Speed's up there. Tons of volume. Escote. Kirby still hanging in there, I guess, despite rugging $700,000 in Solana. And Tin Hat Cat. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's still a lot of volume. So that kind of brought up like an interesting post we were also discussing.
I'm writing here with a deep regret, but I feel my story must be told to protect others. The fast money illusion of crypto is a scam, and I do not want people getting scammed like I did. Some weeks ago, when crypto breached all-time high, my friend messaged me to tell me I had no exposure, but I rushed in to catch the move up. This was my first mistake and one I will regret for a long time. Knowing the markets would go upwards with the news and having around the corner, I put my entire savings into Bitcoin, $3,495. My plan was to quickly get a 0.5 to 2 times on my initial investment, then get that money out and put it back in the bank, free riding the rest of my cash. Dracula, can you relate to that? Did you ever have that kind of mindset? Because I remember having that kind of mindset where it's like, oh, I just need to double my money like really
Yeah.
quickly, and then
I mean, basically, this guy is writing like 5 paragraphs to say he got FOMO and he got wrecked.
it's
So
100% it. He thought he was like big brain. He's like, I know the halvings. It was what comes up. He says, uh, like he knew the halving was coming up, right? And I knew the halving's around the corner. So let me just put my entire life savings of under 4 grand and
he bought it. He
go to
bought the
sleep.
top. So that's kind of an issue. Um, I guess that it's why they say buy the rumor, sell the news. Um,
Hmm.
if you were gonna really catch a move on all this, you probably needed to start around, I don't know, October, November, December, even whatever. Um,
He was
but
just never. This guy. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. There was never any hope for this guy. There was
but
never any hope for him. His friend calls him and tells him, "Hey, crypto just breached all-time highs," and his first impulse is to put all his money in.
yeah, and it's a word of warning. So,
I mean, that is a word
but
of warning.
it's a scam. It's a scam because he lost $900. So,
Well, down here, he really revealed. Hopefully, my story can help others avoid FOMO and avoid losses like me. Fair enough. Yeah, you got to avoid that FOMO. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
mean,
You can't
it
let
goes
that
both
FOMO get
ways.
you.
It's you're either getting wrecked on FOMO, or they tell you never try to catch a falling knife or whatever.
Mhm.
You can get burned going both ways. So I don't
It's
know
true.
the best advice in this scenario, but yeah, I mean, it is kind of a fun. I guess like the tweet. What does he say? He says, "We know we're not at the top yet."
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
you
they're
lost.
doom posting over $900.
Yeah, I can't believe it, dude. I mean, this has happened to me. This exact kind of thing has almost happened to me.
Do you remember after FTX? It was like a New York Post article, like a giant front page New York Post, like, or not New York Post, I mean New York Times, um, you know, thing about FTX, and it was a spotlight on some of the investors that got super wrecked on FTX. And the first guy that's in this featurette is like a kid in college, and he's like, "My life was over.
Yeah.
I lost $732."
Yeah, I
And I was like,
remember that.
you didn't want to grab someone that was like, yeah, I had like a hedge fund, or I had this or that, or just like
You
this
didn't wanna
college
grab,
kid's like,
like,
I
one
didn't
of the
get.
dozens of Redditors who said, like, "I lost my fucking house and my wife divorced me."
Yeah,
Like, I'm living
there
in
were
my
so many.
car, like
So this kind of makes me think of that, where this guy's got like this huge, like, serious post, and too long don't read by the end is like, a guy gambled $3,500 and lost $900, so nobody buy crypto. Like, wow.
yeah. If I had a dollar for every time I've lost $3,500 in crypto, I'd have
You'd have 50 cents.
I'd have $3,500. I'd have 50 cents. Yeah, that's right, I forgot. I forget that, like, because sometimes I think about my money in my native currency, which is, like, Argentinian pesos. So sometimes I get the units mixed up, but, um yeah, man. So look, it's positive out there actually. All this pain and suffering is good. It's called growing pains. Get used to it. Toughen up, little boy. It's a man's world out there. You're gonna get knocked around a bit. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've lost my rent payment like every day the last like couple days. What about you, Dracula? Anything
I'm
putting a
just
smile on your
running
face in
like
these tough times?
concentrated liquidity positions. I feel like I'm pretty
Oh,
happy with the market. I kind of just let it run up in the stables or run back in the natives. Not financial advice, of course, but I
Drac,
think
you gotta show me how to set up one of those one of these days.
I will. I mean, and I think, of course, like we said, when there was the sharp price action a week or two ago, it's like, yeah, if you were in perpetuals, you probably weren't very happy. But in my opinion, it's like, I think it's not a bad time to just hold spot, hold spot through a lot of these moves. You're down 10 or 20% one day, that's okay. It's gonna come back. We're in the infancy of a new bull market. There's
Mhm.
there's not a lot of ways to get around that. And that's not to, some of this meme stuff and whatever we were talking about earlier. That's not even to be negative about that in any way. We just kind of joke around sometimes, but um, to me, I mean, that's the bottom line. Is if you're here right now, and especially if you're in Phantom, like, how do I say this without sounding like a poster in your elementary school room? The sky's the limit. Hang in there.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the bottom line. Like, we're here in the trenches every day, so of course some of these things like affect us differently or more than some other people. But that's the bottom line. Look at that monthly chart. Like that I was showing earlier. It's like we're still we're still early, and like I said, sometimes that stuff makes me cringe. I'm not saying we're so early, wag me, whatever. But I'm saying, get buy spot as the projects you like, whatever. Don't
Mhm.
gamble all your money away. Hey, even if it's a meme, and you believe in it, you got conviction in it, get some spot, whatever. But yeah, I mean, the market is about to heat up, in my opinion. Um,
100%.
so I guess moving on to some actual news in the Phantom Eco. Equalizer has a new Ichi vault.
Oh,
Equalizer has these interesting concentrated liquidity vaults that they're teamed up with Ichi on, and I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. But it allows you to essentially like single stake. stable or your Fantom. Um, they do have, a chance of impermanent loss. But essentially, for instance, if like you put your stable in, you're exposed to like 80% your stable, like 20% FTM. And then what Ichi does is it's like an automated liquidity management.
Mhm.
So they're concentrated liquidity positions so that you're getting those really good CL type fees. But with these Ichi vaults, it automatically is like shuffling around the positions to make sure they're earning the fees. And because that's the big thing that happens on concentrated liquidity. It's sort of like the smaller you set your window for where you want your liquidity, you're going to get really good fees in that window, but your position can basically go out of range. And when your position goes out of range, then you're no longer earning fees for your liquidity you've provided. So that's what's interesting about Ichi is that it's automated so that it's making sure that your liquidity is always earning fees. So they've put this out to kind of help with the adoption of USDCE. That is the new Fantom canonical
Mhm.
stable that they teamed up with Wormhole on. So pretty big news. If you go to the page, let's see here, and pull up the actual vaults here. I mean,
Whoa.
yeah, 47% on a straight, Phantom deposit, where yes, it is, 80-20 in terms of like your Phantom and USDCE. And then it's the same on the USDCE side. You can just single side deposit the USDCE, but 57% on a stable strategy. To me, that's pretty juicy, you know, like that's,
I think that's
47% on
pretty
just your
juicy.
Phantom. That's like, what, four or five times what staking, usually is yielding right now. And then of course USDCE. I mean, that's just crazy. That's like, what, maybe
And
10x.
so and this is paying out in equal?
Well, so you're earning equal by staking. So it's an interesting system. So if you're wanting to stack your equal, usually when you would have these concentrated liquidity positions, you're just earning fees in what you've provided. So
Mhm.
if I had a Phantom USDCE position, I'd be earning fees from the swaps. I'd be earning Phantom and USDCE. So this is a really cool way to continue stacking your equal. If you have seen the equal chart lately, it has been parabolic on its own. It's getting more deflationary every week. I think they cut the rewards by like 2% every week. So um, it's definitely like I'm all about stacking some of that right now, especially when you can just say, "Hey, I'm putting a stable coin into this vault."
Mhm.
So interesting product, though. I just wanted to kind of highlight that they are pushing that. I think there's about three. I saw a stat recently. I want to say adoption for USDC is not like completely taken over yet. I mean, it's a process. But I want to say about $3 or $4 million has been moved over for USDCE. So it's slowly gaining. So nice to see Equalizer do that. I'm sure as time goes by, hopefully we'll see some more of like the bigger protocols starting to try to kind of rally around, you know, bringing more like traffic and volume for like USDCE, especially while we're gearing up for Sonic.
Pretty exciting. It's a great opportunity right now, especially to take that kind of bet on Equalizer. The thing they've been doing all bear market, I neglected to do it because I hate farming, but is to be farming these ecosystem tokens, right? When it's down,
Yeah.
like because that's when no one else wants to do it. And then
Hey, you farm out, bro. Farm out the
yeah,
hole, man.
hey, you farm your way out the bear, dude. That was like a meme for a little bit, wasn't it? It was like
Yeah,
you just
people will just say, "Hey, when the market's bad, just farm, bro."
I'm just gonna farm my way through the drought, dude. Yeah, no, it's great. I'm excited to I'm actually probably gonna try that out, dude.
Yeah,
Because
man. I mean,
exactly my
it's
risk preference, which
and
is
they
small.
do put a note in there. I mean, there is potential for IL, but the IL, in my opinion, I mean, hey, your IL, you're still getting paid out in Phantom or a stable. So I guess they have two options because I guess it depends on like which one you would rather have the IL on. Um,
Mhm.
but I think it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah,
So
hell yeah. Let's
yeah, you
get out
got
there.
Phantom just sitting in your wallet. You got Stable just sitting in your wallet. Put it to work.
And that's me right now, actually. So that's perfect for me.
Yeah, I mean, let us know if you want to see some more of these farming scenarios. Like I said, don't DM me if you like lose money on it. But if you want to hear more about that, let us know. And I'm sure as we get more DeFi coming back to the eco.
Now, do DM me, but only if you're a single lady. You know what I'm saying? If you're here to complain, I'm not here to hear it. Okay? Yeah, tell us more. We want to see more on the show. Um, it was a slow news weekend for us here, so we're just kind of catching guys up to speed on what we've been looking at. But we want to know what you're looking at too, right? So join the conversation with us. Now, while we don't make the Phantom Talk posts, you can still reply to them because we do read the replies and we do like them, and sometimes we'll even retweet them.
Twice a week on X at Phantom Talk, our YouTube, GM_Sonic. Drop some comments there, subscribe. X is our main platform. And then, of course, anywhere you get podcasts, Spotify,
Spotify,
Spotify, wherever you
Spotify,
listen to the
podcast, Apple
podcast,
Podcasts.
you can search GMSONIC and find us. So
Hell yeah.
we appreciate you guys listening.
Yeah, guys, you guys are early to GMSONIC, so be sure to subscribe now before everyone else gets FOMO.
Well, I guess that it does it for today. We will see you guys later this week.